Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the OC Varsity Gridiron Show. We are in week 7 of the season,
Whew.
and most importantly, it is round 2 of league play. All these fantastic leagues in the new configured Orange County Football Conference. Of course, nothing changed in the Trinity League. Same great competition as well. We'll be
Mhm.
talking about um, a little Bravo League actually this week again, and got two Bravo games, two Trinity League games, and then Epsilon League as well, Steve. And Mr. Fryer continues to lead the competition. Actually, stretched your lead up against me now. You're 27-8 right now. 4-game lead on me, Fryer. How you feeling about your advantage over me and another round of league play this week?
I am very capable of messing up and falling behind. Very capable.
There's going to be some close games. There were some close games last week.
Oh boy, oh
Um,
boy.
and I think we got some really good ones to talk about this week. So let's get back to Bravo League. That's that number 3 power rated league in Orange County. It's not the alpha level. It's not excuse me, number 2.
Yes.
Bravo B number 2 league in Orange County. And but a lot to offer, including this one here. Battle of the Bay coming up on Thursday.
Yep.
Corona Del Mar, Newport Harbor. So very interesting matchup here, Steve, because both these teams are coming off some pretty dramatic results last week. But it's always a great game with this rivalry. One of the best rivalries in Orange County. They're going to fill up uh, Davidson Field, no doubt about it. I'm sure, even though it's a Thursday night game. But Corona Del Mar, 0-1 in the Bravo, almost beat San Juan Hills last week, lost 31-28. Of course, Newport Harbor 1-0, won their opener by rallying from 17 down to stun to sorrow last week. And another interesting thing, if this wasn't enough here, is that you got the quarterback thing seems to be shifting a little bit with these teams as Caleb Annett kind of had a hot hand last week. Junior, 10 of 12, I'd say is hot hand, 148
Yes.
yards, a touchdown, also ran for a touchdown and 52 yards. And then got a new quarterback kind of emerging at Newport Harbor in Jake Muir. He was part of that comeback. He's been playing the last couple games and doing quite well. Who do you have in the Battle of the Bay? You got to throw out the record books as, Newport did have snapped a long losing streak in this series last season. Who do you got, Mr. Fryer?
Throw out the record book, but don't throw out the rankings.
Yeah,
Okay. All right. So interesting. A couple interesting things here. Newport Harbor down by 17 in
yeah,
that game and then rally to win it. Quarterback, as you mentioned, Mir. Um, Corona Del Mar lose this game to San Juan Hills. Now, 2 weeks ago, their tailback Wyatt Lucas runs for 352 yards and average, I don't know, 12 yards a carry, something like that. 14. And then last week he's held to 54, 3.5 a carry. Dorsey Stecker, really good athlete at wideout, who I like a lot. 6 catches, nice, but only 26 yards. So really, how they stayed in this game with San Juan Hills, which is, offensively strong with, and we'll talk about them later. But I like the Sea Kings in this game. Even though they lost, boy, they showed me a lot of hanging in there with a really good San Juan Hills team, which we have, I know we have number 10 in OC this week. So I'm going with the Sea Kings in this, which annually just a terrific battle. Whatever they're playing, basketball, volleyball, in the pool,
sure.
on the tennis court, on the soccer field, in the girls' flag football field,
Girls flag.
lacrosse, whatever, name it. Battle of the Bay is great. I got CDM in this game, man. What do you got?
Yeah, I'm also picking Sea Kings. I think they have a little bit more balance in this one, and
Mm.
I think a little bit more offensive balance. We'll see. It could be a high scoring game. I mean, obviously, I think both these teams are pretty capable of scoring some points, but
Sure.
it'd be a really good game. I think you just wonder about Newport. I mean, if they, what a great rally. And sometimes you have those comebacks. You could flip your season just like that. And
Yeah.
Newport's played a really tough schedule. They're much better than their record. I think
Yeah.
they 2-4. They have a better. They've lost to some quality teams. And of course, Corona Del Mar is playing a good schedule too. So real
Sure.
pleased about Bravo League teams. There's a big game coming up on Thursday. Looking forward to it. All right. So we were talking about Epsilon, all these great league games in round two. This is a really interesting one. How about La Habra? Won five straight. They're 5-1. They won their opener last week against El Dorado in the Epsilon League. They go to Huntington Beach, which is 4-2, and also won its opener in impressive fashion over Laguna Hills. They're 1-0 in the Epsilon League. And speaking of quarterbacks and guys to keep track of, La Habra has got this dual in two quarterback system with DJ Mitchell, a sophomore who's up and coming player, and then Kenny Salcido's a senior. They complement each other really well with two really good athletes. Salcido also plays defense. La Habra's running the ball really well because both those guys can pass it. They both run it. And then Bobby Brooks is a good running back too, having a good year at La Habra. But then you're talking about quarterbacks. You got to talk at Huntington Beach. You flip it, and Brady Edmonds, arguably one of the top sophomores in the country. He's having a great year. He's passed for over 1,600 yards, 15 touchdowns. He has a couple good wideouts, and Troy Foster, Steele Kurtz. So who do you got in this one? I think this is a really good game. La Habra's sizzling hot, but Huntington Beach, they got some firepower.
Yeah, Huntington Beach is very capable. I'm going with La Habra to win this game. I saw them beat La Mirada, and they looked really good. The two quarterbacks got Kenneth Cicero, the senior, and sophomore Mitchell. This DJ Mitchell guy, I'm telling you, I was like, whoa, he's like Xavier Guess at Elmo. Can throw it. Really nice arm, and he can run, and he's got moves galore. He's shifty, slides backwards, slides forward. Ooh, he's good. But I got La Habra in this game. I really like the way they executed everything. Played really solid on defense when I saw them play La Mirada. I can see Huntington winning this game. They get that Edmonds-Foster connection rolling, which they've done. But La Habra is the team in this game for me.
Okay. This was a tough one for me to call. I got a lot of respect for what La Habra is doing, but I got to my gut's telling me that I think Huntington could be primed here.
Nice.
To maybe get the upset. I think it'd be a pretty good upset league wise. But La Habra's playing really well. I think they're on fire, but I think this could be a tough one for the Highlanders on the road.
Close together in the rankings, Dan. This week in our poll, we have La Habra at 17 and Huntington at 19. So they're right there.
Yeah, gotta love these new leagues.
Yes.
So. A lot of excitement coming up. That game is on Friday night. These are all Friday night games, by the way.
Yes, sir.
All right, Trinity League. How about this one? Is another interesting one. JSerra coming off a loss to Servite, taking on Orange Lutheran, coming off a loss to St. John Bosco. This game's going to be at Orange Coast College on Friday. Pretty interesting matchup in some ways. Is that the Lions struggled to stop the run against Servite. Friars ran it really well. Orange Lutheran can run the ball pretty well as well. They got Steve Chavez going pretty well the last couple weeks.
Yes, sir.
The San Jose State commit ran well against Bosco and Bishop Gorman, and he's coming into his own. Both these teams have really good line play.
Yes.
You wonder with JSerra, what's the health of Baden Faramio? Didn't play last week. Is he back? He would certainly help stop teams from running so well. But this is both teams are looking for a bounce back. I think it was a deflating loss for the Lancers and the Lions last week. Both these teams could really benefit from a win, get their first Trinity League game, because once you start to go 0-2 in the Trinity League, you start to wonder where those wins going to come from with all these with a tough game every single week. So I think this is a big game for both. Who do you got this one?
Yeah, they're both 0-1. They both lost last week, and really, Orange Lutheran gave Bosco all they could handle. You mentioned Chavez. I'm a big Latif guy. JSerra had like no rhythm at all on offense. Now, when I saw them beat Sierra Canyon in August, Ryan Hopkins, I think the word you used last week and talked about was revelation. I had no idea this guy was this good. Yeah. And he was not, he was not nearly as effective. Credit to Chris Redfern, the defensive coordinator over at Servite, who head coach Chris Reiner can't praise enough. And and they just had a great game plan. I think their back end of the defense was really good. Not a hellacious pass rush on Hopkins, but guys were just not getting open. And they popped in a couple good ones there, but try to go for it on fourth down a couple times, just didn't get it done. But man, I think the way Orange Lutheran played against Bosco, I'm going with Olu in this game. JSerra is certainly capable. Madden Farimo, the really fine linebacker.
Yeah.
He's got that left wrist and a cast. By the way, I was up next to him. Woo, he's a big guy.
Yes.
And I know, and I've seen him. He can run too, man. Sometimes you see a fella on the field with a bunch of big guys around him, like in the Trinity League. You don't realize this guy's like 6'3" and 230 and just like built beautifully, right? But Farimo's that guy. He's a college football player for sure coming up, and maybe beyond. But I got Olu in this game. I just thought the way that they played and came back and battled toe to toe. I mean, that was a great fight that you saw. That's a wonderful game that you got to witness at Panish Family Stadium last week. I'm going with the Lutheran Lancers, buddy.
Yeah, I got Orange Lutheran as well.
Yeah.
I think they're gonna bounce back. I think they can take a lot of confidence. Bosco, speaking of maybe surprising quarterbacks, I don't know if anybody really knew how good that freshman at San Francisco Koa is. He looked impressive in the summer to me at the Battle of the Beach, and he was highly regarded. But that was his first start, and for him to do that kind of thing, leading that comeback, 4 touchdowns, 275 yards passing. Orange Lutheran, they're probably happy not to see those St. John Bosco wide receiver group. That was a very talented group that they just faced. They're not going to see that quite with the Lions, but the Lions, are really well coached. They'll make some adjustments, try to get that offense going for sure.
Yeah,
so
Victor Santa Cruz has got a good thing going on with their JSerra, man. That guy's good.
Yeah, and Lions won this game last
him and
year.
Reinhardt, when we talk about coaches of the year, of course we got a few weeks to go, but both those guys are going to be on our ballots, man, when it comes for county coach of the year.
There's a lot going on. I think
there's a lot of dudes.
Yeah, there's several undefeated teams, and we'll be speaking of undefeated and coach of the year type candidates. 2 undefeated teams are going to be clashing here on Friday at Mount Sac of all places, which has got a renovated field. Is going to host this one. Mater Dei 5-0. Taking on Servite 6-0. Of course,
right.
They're both not 6-0 because the Monarchs were only able to schedule 4 non-league games this year. They're not playing the full 10 that you could play in the regular season. So that's why their record is a little bit different, but it's the same Monarch team. And Servite's outstanding as well. They were in the D2 finals last year. So these are 2 powerhouse teams right now. And like we talked about, Servite, you wonder how this matchup's going to go. Or last week, I had him with 46 carries for 335 yards against JSerra. They only threw 7 passes, and 6 was from their main quarterback because they're playing without Leo Hannon. Their Michigan State commit hasn't played for several weeks. He's been injured since the Chaminade game. So you wonder, do the Friars have the balance to can they do that? Do they have the balance to beat the number 1 team in the country in Mater Dei, where the Monarchs have more balance? Would they, Jordan Davison ran it really well against Santa Margarita, 13 carries last week, 155 yards. Dash Byerly, Washington commit, he's a dual threat. They have a lot more receivers. So you wonder about, how Servite, but Servite, that defense is pretty darn quick, as you kind of alluded to, with their quickness against Ryan Hopkins, the dual threat. Last week, they did pretty well. That quickness could serve them well, but I think it could be a battle of lines, line play up there. And, and Mater Dei, they were last week at halftime, they were 16-10 against Santa Margarita before kind of opening it up. That's been a big theme this year for Mater Dei. And all the fans checking out that game on Friday, please know, or keep in the back of your mind, that Mater Dei has been a second half team a lot of their year so far. Some of their high profile wins, their best wins, they've been second half dominated. So who do you got in this one? One of the best county rivalries in Orange County football.
Yeah, I think that I'm going with Mater Dei in this game, but Servite, credo, right? I believe the credo is strong with this group of Servite guys. When they beat JSerra, a lot of us were going, what was that? And there it's going, oh yeah, they figured they were going to win. But sometimes I remember in the beginning of 1977, I'm in the Edwards Theater and on Harbor and Adams. I'm watching the Star Wars movie, and there's no way the rebels are going to beat the Empires. No way. They just don't. It's not going to happen. But they did. So talking about the Force and Credo and all that stuff, there's something going on there. And I've seen Servite win games they're not supposed to win over the many, many years. But logically, you got to go with modern day in this game. Now, Servite offensive line is going to have to do good. Maybe you're going to have you're going to have to load it up on tight ends. I'm not sure exactly. The big guy in this game for me for modern day is number 52, Tomu Tupui. Yeah. That guy is just a massive force defensively for the Monarchs. And then, we all talk about Nasser Wyatt, the linebacker for them, but they got another linebacker there, Abdul Sanders, who's really good and leads them in tackles on, in several of the games that they've played. So yeah, you got to go with modern day in this game. Byerly is a good game management guy. Hand the ball to big Jordan Davison, who, when you stand next to him, he's one of those guys. You watch him on the field, he looks like the little 5'9" guy. You walk up to him, he's got the Thurman Thomas thighs going. The guy's powerful, and when he gets outside, he can scoot. But modern day is a logical choice in that. Got to go with the Monarchs.
Yeah, I'm also picking modern day as number one for a reason. The second half capability, their balance.
Yeah.
So it's gonna be they got good linemen. They're tough to run on, but you got to take Servite seriously this week.
Sure.
They are ranked number 19 in the country now, and that's something to really be proud of. Again, they're playing without their quarterback, Leo Hannon.
Yeah.
They're really utilizing their talent. They have some depth at running back, like you and we've kind of talked about. Gutierrez is a really good back behind Quade Carr.
Yeah.
Quade, I think, obviously running for 184 yards.
Yes.
Last week. These are got two of the best running backs, I think, in Orange County for sure. And Quade Carr, San Diego State commit, Jordan Davison, Oregon commit. So that should be a stellar matchup with the running backs. And there's some other depth behind those guys on both teams. So good running back duel. It's going to be interesting. Should be a pretty packed field out, I think, out at Mount Sac on Friday night. So here's, I think, maybe the
11,500 people.
What's that?
11,500 people at Hilmer Lodge.
Yeah, I think they'll fill that
up. I think they're going to be occupied.
Yeah, for sure. And as good as that game is, two undefeated teams, modern day Servite. It's a big week on both campuses. This is rivalry week for both those campuses. This is a great game too. Back to the Bravo League on Friday. San Juan Hills, 5-1, 1-0 in the Bravo League. Going to Yorba Linda, 6-0, 1-0 in the Bravo League. The Mustangs have, they've been the kind of like the cardiac kids. If anybody remembers the old Cleveland Browns with some of their dramatic wins, I am dating myself a little bit, but they've been the cardiac kids with all these narrow wins. But they won in impressive fashion last week against Villa Park, and then San Juan Hills. They haven't lost anybody in Orange County. Their one loss was to Higley of Arizona. And both these teams are physical. They both like to run the ball. There's a pretty big injury update that just got coming on. Recording our show here on Monday afternoon. But Vaughn Sharp, very good junior running back. He forms a great duo at Yorba Linda with Cole Nairo. He's doubtful to play in this game because of a knee injury.
It's too bad.
So last week against Villa Park, kind of a fluke thing late in the first half. But he's going to get checked out. Hopefully the Mustangs are hopeful, of course, that they get good news on Vaughn, who's a really special looking back. And Cole is very good. Both these teams have really good offensive lines. Speaking of running backs, Elijah from San Juan Hills, he ran for 145 yards last week and a touchdown.
Elijah Ayala, yeah.
Ayala. Timmy Herr, their quarterback. He can run it too. He's starting to run it a little bit more as the season goes on. And Yorba Linda's got a few other guys that they like to run it as well, including Roberts does these fly sweeps from wide receiver. So in their quarterback Holden, he can maybe run it sometimes. So these are two well-coached teams. I think it's going to be a great game at back at Yorba Linda. Bravo League definitely representing some exciting football. Who do you got on this one, Steve?
Yorba Linda, if Sharp doesn't play, that's going to hurt him some. That's going to hamper him a little bit. But Colnario's kind of guy that can be just fine. With moving those guys in and out, like it's not like Nario's worn down. He's fast. They're sort of like Glenn Davis, Doc Blanchard. Look it up. Mr. Inside, Mr. Outside, Glenn Davis, Mr. Outside, Blanchard, Mr. Inside, Von Sharp in this case. And so they got that going on. But Holden Nagin is a really good quarterback, really fine, good game management guy, doesn't make mistakes. And the thing that, like I wrote earlier today, was something that they do is they got to get a good game plan. The kids believe in it. They execute the game plan. That's what's going on. San Juan Hills, big fan. Timmy Herr is having a fantastic season. You mentioned Ayala, the running back for them, but I think the way that if they execute, they don't make turnovers, they don't beat themselves.
Yeah.
I think all that's going to add up to Yorba Linda win.
Yeah. Yeah. Last week they forced 5 turnovers.
Yep.
Against Villa Park, and including they also forced a short punt. You could almost count that as another turnover, and they committed none. And like Coach Bailey says, we're not a team. We don't really have a star player on this team. In his opinion, maybe the running backs are kind of going that way. San Juan Hills, they played pretty united too. I saw them had a spirited win against Crean Lutheran. They do have a star and one of the best linebackers in the county in Weston Port.
For sure.
Commit. Chris Williams is a really good defensive back. I believe he's committed to Northern Arizona, plays some offense as well. That could be a good matchup with him and Roberts but San Juan Hill, they're pretty fired up team too. And there's gonna be a lot of public school pride on the line. After Mission Viejo, you wonder, hey, right now, who's the second best public school in Orange County for football? This could might be bragging rights here. Is it San Juan? Is it San Clemente? Is it
Los Al?
Is it Los Al? Is it Yorba Linda, Tustin? There's a short list right at the top there.
Edison's won 5 in a row. Watch out.
Edison's won 5 in a row. So for right now, and of course Yorba Linda beat Edison. First time the first time I think they ever played Edison, they got the W. So that was a big win for Yorba.
Another Yorba comeback. Yeah.
So
5 seconds left or something.
Yeah. So this is there's a lot on the line. Who's the number 2 public ranked team? Arguably could be the winner of this one.
Yes, sir.
2-0 in the Bravo League. I also got Yorba Linda after all that discussion. So we only disagree on one game this week, which is not good news for a guy trailing by 4 games. And it's a good game we disagree on. La Habra at Huntington Beach in the Epsilon League. There's a lot of other great games in the leagues, but I'm really looking forward to this week once again.
All right. We're good to go, man. You're going to be at Modern Dei-Servite?
And I will be at the Battle of the Bay. So I'm
at San Juan Hills, Yorba.
Yes, we're living large, man. Every week there's something good going on. So for Steve Fryer, I'm Dan Albano. Thanks for joining us on the OC Gridiron, where we got you covered.